And we're live. We are here with the things. Hello, all my VC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Dual Dynasty, your
Mikey.
weekly WWE review show here on the BC WrestlePod YouTube, Twitch, podcasting network, conglomeration, syndicate thing we do on the internet on a weekly basis.
It's
I
not
am.
a cult.
It is not a cult yet, anyway.
We're not a cult.
We'll talk about possibly somebody leading a cult, question mark. So Sokoa, don't wear white again. I'm just gonna put it out there because you are looking like a Samoa cult leader. It's crazy out here.
Looks like a reversed Oreo.
Looking like Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5, if anyone gets that notice.
Oh my god.
Okay, literally before we got on, I was playing Far Cry New Dawn, and I'm like,
We gotta do a Far Cry day. We just gotta talk all the Far Cries.
"Oh, we're gonna talk all the Far Cry."
Oh my goodness, and we'll get into all that. But I am your lead host, Mikey, and of course we have the full crew here for this review. First and foremost, he still will not watch any other promotions, especially Ring of Honor, but Minnie is in the house and he's going to be with us, not for only for the first 20 minutes, but for the entire review. So this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm here. Holy shit. I'm alive.
Yes. Physically, yes. Mentally is a whole different question.
We don't talk about that.
No, we'll talk about that offline. Of course, we also have the professor who is here to bring us his thoughts and feelings about things, especially SmackDown was weird. Like, I can't.
SmackDown was weird. This was a weird SmackDown. For everything that I really liked, there were moments where I was like, what is happening? It's a 3-hour show now. And it's still a 2-hour SmackDown with an extra hour of what are we doing? Which is unfortunate. I didn't hate it as many as some folks. The internet kind of crushed it. There's actually a match I threw on my match of the year contention after all this, or promo of the year contention that I threw in there. So there's some things in there that I liked. It was just strange, right? I'm not alone. It just felt weird, right?
It definitely was strange. Speaking of strange, to round out our lovable crew is, of course, the Kilt Man, newest here, but has some really great thoughts.
See, I would be upset and offended that you called me strange, but I prefer to be strange. So, hello. Yes. Yeah, I watched SmackDown last night, and I was click. That doesn't make sense. Click, move forward. KO's a little bitch. Move forward.
Yeah, this angle's not doing him any favors, right? It just feels like, I'm sorry, we're getting a little bit of ahead, but it just feels like they really want to shoehorn another KO Sammy match instead of actually letting other stuff come back. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
That we definitely will. So we got a lot to talk about with Raw and SmackDown this week because I had questions about Raw as well. Again,
All the questions.
I apologize in advance to anybody who is watching this. I am coming off of 5-6 hours of sleep, but that's because I crammed 3 shows into one evening yesterday.
Damn.
That's NXT pay-per-view, GCW pay-per-view, and then Grand Slam Australia.
Oh, you care too much, Mikey. You care too much.
Listen, these report cards need to be done, but I am informed for this upcoming week's reviews, just like I am today. But before we get into all that, if you like what you see here and you like watching us 4 or our collective of 10, yes, there are 10 of us in this thing. It's wild that I've accumulated all of these folks. And you want to catch some more behind the scenes or take a look at the report cards we do for the weekly shows and the pay-per-views, then, follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads. We have a Patreon. We have merchandise. Like, long-time viewers already know the spiel, but for those of you that are new, hi, welcome. And strap in because we're about to talk some wrestling. So we're going to kick things off this week with Monday Night Raw, of course. Thank you for figuring out whatever the problem was last week with the technical difficulties of the streaming, because this was a much better experience. Probably just don't go to Texas ever again. Just kidding. Not really, though.
It wasn't the stream. It was Texas.
Fully agree, as I have been there for almost. I lived there for at least 4 to 6 months. I lose track. I have to do the
Why are
dates
you
again.
Texas and Florida, man? Pick some other places.
I've lived in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Germany, Kyrgyzstan, Iraq, and Virginia.
I mean, Kyrgyzstan sounds better than Florida, though.
No,
Really? Is it worse than Florida?
it's hotter. Okay, so it's a different type of heat. It's very mountainous. Like
Right.
literally, I saw mountains on the outside of base, and it was nicer than Afghanistan, but still, never want to go back.
Fair. This different. Sorry, Mikey. Go ahead.
Yeah, the 88. I mean, my 88 stream went and did this. If you fuse the other 3 hosts together, they make me when it comes to hair.
Well, speaking of mountainous, we're gonna start things off because we had a mountainous confrontation between
Ooh.
our
Look at that
Royal Rumble-
segue.
our
Nice
Rumble,
segue.
our men's Royal Rumble winner, and the person he, by the end of the segment chose to face at WrestleMania. But this is the best picture to sum this up. So Jey Uso kicks off the show. We get another elongated yeeting celebration before he even gets on the microphone. The audience, much like last week's audience, it wants an encore. He gives it to them. But before, he even gets a chance, he gets blindsided by Gunther.
Why does Pat McAfee in the background look like me when I'm looking at my food at the microwave?
See, that's what I was going to say something about that. Like he's like locked in. Like he wants to hop over the desk and do something. I'm like, Pat, just sit down.
That's how I was telling my hot pocket when I was cooking.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm starting to kind of like Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
I have not
Oh,
liked him forever.
He's
And
so funny.
I've hated everything he represents. But he keeps showing up in my YouTube feeds now because we keep talking about him and everything else. And slowly, I'm starting to be like, okay, maybe you're not as bad as I gave you credit for. I still don't know if I like you. I just don't dislike you the same. I guess that's where I'm going. But anyway,
My
I
dislike
want
meter
this.
has gone down.
Yeah, it's like I want us to get to the Pat McAfee level one day because I love everything he does.
that's again another rabbit hole. I think it's money and budget, and
Yeah, more money, budget, and
being
planning.
an attractive white guy tends to help. I'm sorry, I said that out loud. Oh no, carry on, Mikey, go.
I know. As the only minority, no, just kidding. Well, on this panel,
the professor's ginger. I mean,
he's a ginger Mexican. We talked about this profusely before.
We're very rare.
Which is
it's like a
crazy.
shining Pokemon.
But Gunther lays the smackdown on Jey. Warns him, gives him some power bombs for his troubles, and again advises him not to pick him for WrestleMania. And then Jey gets on the mic and confirms that he indeed will be challenging Gunther at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. The two try to fight, and then that's how they are pulled apart, and that is how the segment
The
ends.
dumbest way to stop somebody from like, oh, you don't want to fight me? I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, and then go, don't fight me ever. This is for the guy to go, no, I want my revenge, bitch. Like, why would that? I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Don't pick me. I'm gonna pick you. You just kicked the crap out of me. Of course, I want I'm gonna get my hit back. I'm gonna get my get back.
The get back is gonna be crazy. So we all figured this was going to be, as we talked about last week, we all figured this was going to be the match that Jey would choose, and now it has been made official. So we have our first WrestleMania match made for WrestleMania 41. It will be Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm excited. This should be fun. So after this opening segment, backstage, this is the match I want so bad. I will say I'm going to bury the lead a little bit here. Later in the evening, when we get a secondary segment with Rhea and Io and them, and the fact that Io gets her championship match the Raw after Elimination Chamber makes me a little worried that Io's path to WrestleMania is not as clear as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, no, you cannot have Io on the show. That's crazy to me. But
Well, weren't we talking about it being a little too linear, or were we talking about somebody else? Last week, weren't we talking about? I can't remember. Am I crazy?
So last week we talked about, with Io not being able to win, she lost her qualifier match for the Elimination Chamber
Right.
via DQ. And so I thought maybe we'll get a last chance. And then, Damage Control has a match late, next that we're going to talk about a little bit.
Sure.
But Rhea feels bad about what happened. So I was like, okay, we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll get a triple threat or something like that.
Okay.
I think so again, this is projecting far into the future, but somehow I think shenanigans will happen and we might still get a triple threat at WrestleMania. But we'll talk about that when we get to SmackDown, because with the women's field almost finalized, because we have one more qualifier tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw between Raquel Gonzalez and Roxanne Perez. I think we have our winner who's going to win the chamber, but I digress. But this backstage segment, Io and Rhea are still teasing that match for the championship. Again, later in the evening, Io gets her title shot, the Raw after Elimination Chamber, which is cool. But we are not done talking about Io or Dakota Kai for all that matter, because we get into our first match of the evening, which is Damage Control, Io Sky and Dakota Kai taking on the Judgment Day of Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez. I am just going to go to, I will have to say Liv got busted open so badly in this match. She was profusely bleeding halfway through.
That knee damn near killed her.
Like, it was crazy to watch her bleed, her face get busted open. I say, I think this was probably my favorite match of the whole entire Raw, which is crazy. I thought these 4 women brought it. And I do like that Damage Control did win, because I was afraid that they weren't going to.
The photos that came out from this were brutal. Some of the still shots of just blood and hair and nastiness were quite impressive. Are they allowed to, was it blading, or did she accidentally mess herself up?
Io killed her with a knee.
Yeah, and it busted her face wide open.
Now, I will say, Liv Morgan was right. She posted, she goes, damn, I look hotter covered in blood. I was like, you know what? I see it.
Woof. Woof.
So, I am happy to see Damage Control pick up the victory here, but this was probably my favorite match of Raw, given the fact that this was given 2 commercial breaks, which is nice to see.
Sure.
Because I'm used to the women's matches outside of NXT not being given a lot of time. So this was given some time. This was great.
Do you think that we're going to get a full power Damage Control after Elimination Chamber to kind of help out Io? We're going to see everybody back?
You know what? I would love to see Kairi and Asuka return to give us the full Damage Control. That would be, or at least an Asuka or a Kairi.
I don't know, man. The only damage that's being caused for this group is to themselves, because these guys are always hurt. I want them together, but one of them is always hurt.
I don't know, man. Once they get their vowels back, they're going to be a much stronger Gerber Couture. But anyway,
get their vowels back. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gerber Couture.
I was like, okay, all right, Swedish chef, calm down. Out here being the Swedish chef.
And in this corner, Gerber Couture.
Oh my goodness. So I thought this was a really fun first match. This ended up being my favorite match of the whole entire Raw, which is crazy because the matches we did get were fun, but I also have questions about them. But another match, because we didn't waste no time after this match was over, we just went straight into our next one, which was another women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match. We have the Bird Lady, Lyra Valkyria, taking on the role model in Bayley. I thought this was a really fantastic match. Spoiler alert, Bayley does win, which is great. But it was really interesting how Bayley won, because she won with the most devastating move in all professional wrestling history, the roll-up.
The surprise roll-up is still ridiculously powerful.
It is. I saw Trick Williams lose to it last night on NXT's pay-per-view.
Freaking the Grand Slam was like, what? But we'll talk about that one. I have some problems with that, but we'll discuss.
You know,
yes.
Can we do something with his IC title belt now?
Yeah, we keep teasing Lyra and Ivy, but we've gotten backstage segment.
But now we're being teased with Roxanne Perez because she was in the crowd.
I still want Ivy and Lyra to be the first feud. We keep teasing it, but we haven't put legs to it. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know with Chad Gable, like being written off television to go study the dark arts of Lucha Libre is holding it up. But shoot, Chelsea Green has defended her United States Championship more on SmackDown than Lyra has with the Intercontinental Championship. So I'm hoping that now we can start a proper feud for Lyra. Like Triple H, I don't know what we're waiting for. Give me Ivy and Lyra let's go. Come on, do it. Like, I don't know what's going on. But again, Bayley does pick up the victory here. She joins Alexa Bliss and Liv and Bianca to be the fourth woman added to the Elimination Chamber match. And I'm like, damn, this Elimination Chamber is actually going to slap. Let's see who ends up taking the final 2 spots. But overall, I thought this qualifying match was great. Both women do bring it. Bayley, I'm excited to see what she does in the chamber. And hopefully Triple H will now start putting legs to a proper feud for Lyra and the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
And now we have Hellman's and Miracle Whip.
This is wild to me. Again, we keep getting these backstage segments. Give me this feud. Stop giving me the backstage. Let's start fighting in the ring. Like, I want this to happen. Like, what are we waiting for, Triple H? I digress.
America, fuck yeah! Sorry, I just saw the red, white, and blue.
That's okay.
My head.
But speaking of America, Soccer Mom is back, and he is on Monday Night Raw. You cannot tell me AJ's long hair makes him look like a soccer mom. Like,
especially when he's making that face. Look at that face.
That's the face he makes when his son scores a goal.
Ah, that's that. I want to see your manager so I can flirt with them face.
Oh my goodness. So AJ Styles has moved on over to Monday Night Raw. He is officially on the Raw roster. He comes out to cut a promo talking about how he's happy to be back. How, without telling us the words, we're probably looking at the last like 3-4 years. AJ Styles probably going to be retiring in the next 4 or 5 years or something. And then how do we start his return from injury off? He gets the feud. He gets
that is my favorite thing about. Sorry to interrupt. That is my favorite thing about Dominic. Every time he speaks, that's it. That's all you hear.
It is. It is so fantastic. I love it. So, Judgment Day interrupts, and Dominic tells AJ that things have changed since he got hurt and he left for his injury. Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw.
This is the translation, by the way. We couldn't hear Dominic. This is the translation. This is we had to like reverse engineer it, subtitle it so we can figure out what he was saying.
We had to mute the crowd and everything. It was crazy.
It was insane.
But yeah, when Dominic said that Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw, and I'm like, in what universe and planet does that an accurate statement? I'm like, I was like, y'all haven't been running shit. He's my friend.
Like it used to be, but
since Damian and Rhea left, y'all haven't been running nothing. Like, y'all been losing. And then poor JD like punctured a lung and broke some ribs along the way too. So, and then Liv gets busted wide open in the face. Like, what is going on?
I saw a Carlito joke or no, interview from
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I saw the same interview.
He's like, no, I can't do that anymore.
He's talking about what moves can you do? Can you not do? And he goes, all of them.
All of them.
I'm a different Carlito. That moonsault, not doing it. Then I saw JD do it. It reminded me why I can't do them anymore.
I'm like,
it's
Carlito.
Just look at JD. You're like, oh, shit.
It's like, yeah, he's fine, you guys. Like, it was crazy. But ultimately, Dominic and Carlito, make fun of AJ. AJ gives him a backhanded compliment, telling him that, AJ likes Dominic's work ethic, but he will always be Rey Mysterio's punk ass kid. Thus, they fight, but AJ clears the ring of both Dominic and Carlito. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, Okay, AJ and Dominic are about to feud. We get a match with them tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. So, hey, I'm not mad.
I want to see Carlito turn on the rest of them because, like, in another segment, we'll go through this of my reasonings. But he also said in a different in an earlier part of that same interview about it's talking about the how to spit the apple and how to properly chew it and such. And I'm like, can he just start doing that again, saying people aren't cool and just do his own thing?
Yeah, we're gonna get there for like 2 weeks, and he's gonna get buried in the roster again.
Yeah, I do.
Unfortunately,
I am happy to see AJ back as face. I just think he works better as face. We saw all that with LA Knight and stuff. Although he was a great heel for LA Knight because LA Knight was amazing in that. I do. We were talking about this a year ago. I've been waiting for AJ to come back as face so he could retire as face, and now it seems like we're finally on that trajectory. The fact that he's talking about these are the last 3, 4, 5 years means he doesn't know what he wants. I don't put too much weight in that when wrestlers start. If it's like, okay, this is the end, all right, fine. But if he's going to do the Brett Favre thing or the Aaron Rodgers thing where it's like, I'm going to retire and then go 6 more years, like, okay, come on, AJ.
So later on, AJ talks to Adam Pearce. He gets a match against Dominic tomorrow night. So we get to see that match happen tomorrow night.
woo!
So halfway through the show, we get the official graphic that this match is made official. Can I say something? I don't like these graphic cards. I don't like it. When you think of Vegas, I'm like, I maybe do a little moving graphic like with slot machines in the background, but I'm like, I hate this card aesthetic. I don't like it.
I don't mind it. It's just that I don't like Gunther's at all.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Hopefully they'll change it.
I don't hate it. I just don't like you. Like the way they did his. No, yeah.
I'm like, can we bring back moving graphics? Like we were doing that for a little bit. What happened to those? Anyways, we'll talk about hopefully they do a redesign because I don't like this. It's giving me Neon Nightmare and I don't like it. You are literally in Las Vegas. There are so many things you can do gambling wise. Cars are overrated in my opinion. Do poker chips or something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, dice. They could have done a roulette thing. Like, yeah, there's a handful of things they could have played, sure.
So hopefully we'll get more into it as we go on. So, but this is the official graphic, so we get this match happening. Don't know whether it's going to be on Saturday or Sunday, but it's going to slap. That's the other thing too. We won't know until literally probably the week of WrestleMania what's going on what night. I hope this is on night 1.
It's gonna be night 1. I think Cody's shit's gonna be night 2.
Yeah, Cody will probably end up being on night 2, whatever that match looks like. And then if I had to pick, I think I hope Rhea's on night 2. Charlotte, we'll talk. Spoiler alert: Charlotte's match will probably end up being on night 1, and I want Rhea to be on night 2. But that we'll talk about that at the end. So I want to like this. I truly do. Because this is a qualifier between Finn and Seth for the Elimination Chamber. Poor Finn's not going to win this, and it makes me very sad. I think that's the only thing I don't like about this. I love you, Finn, but you're not going to win. They're going to put Seth in the chamber.
Yeah. Do we see Demon Finn? I've been waiting to see Demon Finn for a long time. Are they ever
Demon
going to bring
Finn
that back?
has died. Edge versus Demon Finn Balor at WrestleMania 39 kind of ruined it, especially
It's
when
like it's never coming back.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that it is not hitting the same after we had to stop for 5 minutes because Edge busted Finn open with that ladder and he had to get stitched up for 5 minutes.
You might have cursed it forever. You're not wrong. Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard because a lot of these matches that have been coming out that they've been throwing, it's like, yeah, I know what you're gonna do, or what they normally do. So yeah, I heard about this too and went, oh shit.
Yeah, so we get this tomorrow night. I do. Now they could pull a swerve, no Strickland, and have Finn win. But then again, I'm like, but why though? Seth has ops in Roman Reigns, and he has ops in Drew McIntyre and Punk. So it makes more sense to put him in the chamber than Finn. I will say though, even though it is predictable, Seth being in the chamber is good story-wise because I think this man is about to have a whole crash out, and I'm here to watch it. As crazy as it is to say, I think Seth is going to get eliminated in the chamber, and this man's going to go on a whole crash out leading into WrestleMania.
Like 2 foot in the back of Roman Reigns' head kind of crash out.
Yep, we're about to see Seth Rollins dip back into the architect and literally burn it all down. So that's would be fun. You got to stop teasing me with these matches, man. Also, Braun Breaker, that hat is way too big. Like, just because we're in Texas,
doesn't fit him.
It doesn't. Just because we're in Texas doesn't mean y'all got to wear the hats. Like, this was not the only time I saw superstars wear hats. I was like, I can't call culture appropriation but I need y'all to stop being cowboy appropriation. Like, stop with the hats. It is not great. Unless you are a rancher.
He's not a cowboy hat person. It's just, it doesn't fit him.
It's whack. And plus, we've been teasing Braun feuding with everybody. So unless you won't give me like a ladder match or something at Mania for this Intercontinental Championship, like, stop teasing me with all these matches, because Braun's another one. He's not defending that championship. So, because we had the tease with Penta like 2 weeks ago, we're getting this tease with AJ. Unless we're getting a multi-person IC title like ladder match or something, we need to start moving legs on this story. Because Sheamus is still hiding around somewhere. We got this with AJ, Penta. Like, start building me a story. I'm gonna be saying that a lot, especially when we get to SmackDown. Give me a story.
Or yeah, exactly.
So
Do something.
Do something. Now, if we run this 2 more times, I will be okay with it. Don't give me one and done. But yeah, unannounced to us, like it got announced during the show, not prior, that we would be getting a World Tag Team Championship match in which the War Raiders would defend their titles against American Made. I thought the match was really good.
Was it?
Until
really
we got to the DQ finish where American Made hit the War Raiders with the belts, and then they fight after the match still. So War Raiders still have the titles. Don't let the picture fool you. But I really hope that this is not a one and done, because I'm going to be upset.
The Mayonnaise brothers and Little Honey Mustard's sister. It's the only thing I could think of her for.
I like Honey Mustard's sister. I think that's great. They are very much the Mayonnaise brothers. Please continue.
Thank you. It was a unique match. The DQ kind of like it just spoiled it. I thought that there were a lot of good moments. I actually had to go back and rewatch the horizontal splash that I forget the War Raiders, the one that's in front. I forgot his name.
Ivar.
Ivar, yeah, thank you. Ivar did against Miracle Whip Boy over here against the LED LCD.
That
panel.
was gnarly.
I thought I saw sparks. I had to go back and watch it so I could check and make sure I wasn't like.
It did like depixelize a little bit, but it still stood. But yeah, I had to go back too upon first watch. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think they broke the LED board.
That's what I thought. I was like, ooh.
And see,
damn.
I was excited for this match, and it was really good. And this almost went to be my match of the night, but the DQ finish kind of took the wind out of the sails. I'm like, really? All right, fine, whatever. So again, Triple H, I need you to run it back like 1 or 2 more times. Do not let this be a one and done, because then I will be upset. Because don't turn the War Raiders into Judgment Day where they don't defend those things. And please don't not give American Made something to do, because I want, outside of Chad Gable, I want to see the Creeds in action. I want to see Ivy in action. So hopefully this sets things up, because who knows if these titles are going to be at Mania. But we'll see what happens with all of that. I love you, Raw, but your tag team division is kind of struggling right now. Whereas on the flip side, SmackDown's is thriving, which we'll get into when we get to SmackDown. Again, like I stated earlier, this is where we find out Io will be facing Rhea for the title Raw after Elimination Chamber, which has me a little worried about where Io's WrestleMania goes, but I'm still excited for it. The girls are fighting because the Judgment Day still can't get it together. Finn Balor confronts the rest of the Judgment Day in the clubhouse. Liv and Dominic want to add a new member to Judgment Day, but Finn is having none of it and says that he's going to set everything right himself. So again, the girls are fighting.
This is going nowhere. This storyline is it's circling the drain. And this is the part where I said Carlito just needs to turn on him and just do his either do his own thing, go to LWO, or do something. Because Carlito is he's not getting buried in the roster, but he's just getting what's the best word to say? Background character. That's basically what he is right now.
He's giving NPC vibes right now.
Yeah. And
so,
it's like
Finn is
just terrible. He's bad on the mic.
Yeah, I mean, Finn has never been that great on the mic, which is okay because not everyone can be good on the mic. But again, like you said, Kilt, we've been kind of circling around in this will they, won't they breakup angle for like the longest time right now. When Damian and Rhea got ousted from Judgment Day and, we had that feud, I was like, okay, when that feud was over, I'm like, all right, so now we're going to tell the tale of how they're going to break up. And we're still like in part 1, like we keep circling back in part 1. I need us to progress to part 2 and then the inevitable breakup. I'm like, don't add more people to Judgment Day. We don't need more people in Judgment Day.
I think Finn's great on the mic if he's doing the John Moxley style thing where it's sort of, I'm going to tell you directly what I feel and why I need to do this. If you're getting him in exposition, hey, talk to him about this thing that has to happen. He tends to not hold it up super well, which is no fault to him. That's also tough.
Yeah, so hopefully we can start seeing some legs. But again, I've been saying this for months, so I'm going to believe it when I see it whenever we get this Judgment Day breakup.
Wait, well, before we move on, I just realized one very important thing. So now that JD's officially out of Judgment Day on injury, where's R-Truth?
R-Truth? Yeah, R-Truth.
I know it's on SmackDown, but it's hilarious. It's like, wait a second, isn't he part of Judgment Day still?
That is very, very true. So now let's get into it because we're coming to the end of Monday Night Raw. CM Punk comes to the ring and he cuts a promo about participating in the Chamber. He does. I'm like, I don't know if it is part of the script or he's expressing his true feelings, but he was briefly upset about Cena declaring himself for the match without having to qualify for it. But you know what? That's okay. He had some time. He reflected. He's cool with it because he's still going to kick Cena's ass and everybody else's ass in the Chamber. And so then he gets interrupted by Mr. Ayo Logan Paul, who interrupts him, makes fun of him for the fact, that Logan makes fun of Punk for the fact that, he was the one that eliminated Punk in the Rumble. And, CM Punk tells Logan he needs to worry about more Rey Mysterio more than anything. And yeah, so we get this, he interrupts, and then we get into our main event of the evening, men's elimination chamber qualifying match, Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul. I love Rey Mysterio. I thought he did really good here. I love that Logan Paul is stealing Hangman Adam Page's moveset, which is kind of crazy to watch on live television. Literally, I saw a TikTok video I saw Hangman Page tweet and somebody put a video of the side-by-side comparison. I'm like, Logan Paul is stealing Hangman Page's like ring moves. It's kind of crazy.
He's Timu.
He's the Timu Hangman Adam Page.
I'm pretty sure if ever they meet someday, I would love to be there when Hangman just decimates Logan Paul.
I want to see that live because we know Hangman's about that live. He's really about the cowboy shit.
That's the thing. Just be like, by the way, you took all my moves and tried to make him look a certain way. I saw you and just crush him. Ugh.
So I don't like saying this because I don't like Logan Paul as a person, but I did really like this match. The only reason, but I was not about to make this a match of the night for me because I'm like, my morals and ethics will not allow me. But Logan Paul does pick up the victory here. He will be going to the Elimination Chamber, which is crazy. How he has not been banned from, Canada yet is astounding to me. But Logan joins Punk, Cena, and Drew McIntyre in the Chamber. So that's a whole different conversation when you talk about who's in it so far. I'm like, that's crazy to me. These are the names that are in the Chamber so far. So Afterwards, Logan Paul is celebrating again. We have the graphics. So we have 2 spots left, but after SmackDown, we only have 1 spot left. And then, afterwards, we get the New Day attacking Rey Mysterio as the show goes off the air. So interesting.
Most random,
I thought we ended the feud with LWO and New Day, but apparently not. So we might be continuing that because we need to give LWO and the New Day apparently something to do. Okay,
I heard most of what you said. Say the last thing you said again.
He became a robot.
Because apparently we have to give LWO and the wrestling gods didn't like what I had to say. So
no, they didn't like you.
I don't want to see. I know. I don't want to see LWO and New Day again for like the 40th time. Sure, fair. That is my consensus. They beat up Rey Mysterio. That's how Raw goes off the air. Overall, I thought Raw was pretty decent. We are continuing to build Elimination Chamber. Again, my biggest worry is where EO is going for Mania, but hopefully WWE will prove my worries wrong. Now let's get into the Twilight Zone of Friday Night SmackDown because I have lots of feelings about where we're going. There were some good things. There was a lot of questions. Because I was like, SmackDown, what are we doing? What are we doing, SmackDown? So let's start off with what are we doing? Point number 1. This opening segment. So, okay. So first, Cody, starts off the show, which, he talks about he doesn't know, who, now that Jay has picked Gunther for WrestleMania, he doesn't know who, he runs down all the opponents so far. First and foremost, with Joe Testero not being there, we do get Vic Joseph from NXT, who I miss with Wade so much. I love Vic and Wade together.
He was great. He was very good.
Yeah, Vic and Wade in NXT were my favorite pairing as the commentators, but I digress. But again, Cody Rhodes is out here. He addresses all the participants in the Elimination Chamber, talking about, who might potentially face him. And, then he gets interrupted by Drew McIntyre. Drew is offended by Cody is making, him less when mentioning him as just a participant. Again, Drew McIntyre is being a crybaby about things, which is very fun to watch. So with Drew pointing out that he's a multi-world champion, a former winner of the Elimination Chamber, Cody fires back by mentioning that, Drew was one of the men who defeated him in the past, and he is not forgotten. But before we get any further with these two interacting, we get interrupted by the Timu bloodline as Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga do come out. Now, I will say, this picture right here, I'm like, please give me this match. I will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, this I'm excited for. So Jacob gets on the mic. He says, tonight he's going to dog walk Damian and Braun and then go on to win the Elimination Chamber and bring the title back to the bloodline. Drew is intrigued to have a one-on-one match with Jacob Fatu, but says that he's going to dip because this is not his scene right now. It's not his problem. And so Drew leaves to let Jacob and Cody kind of have their back and forth. Then Cody mentions that, if Jacob wins the Elimination Chamber, he can come and face him and try to take this title. And then like a music video from the weekend, we just see, all dressed in white, rolling out, coming in, Solo Sikoa is seen arriving. I mean, we do get this little scene, but yeah, Solo Sikoa then is arriving on the Teletron, on the, everything. Jacob needs to have a word with Solo. Cody said that he's going to have a word with him first, and then Jacob can have a word with him first, but Cody's going to get the last word with him as the segment ends. I thought this was a weird way to end this segment. I'm not going to lie.
This whole segment was just weird and top. Drew had no real place being here. The whole reason he walked out and got pissed off was because it was and Drew McIntyre. Moving on. It's like it was so just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was very
Drew
arbitrary.
being petty, but Drew being petty is what made us really like Drew in the CM Punk feud.
Yeah, I don't mind you being petty, but this just felt so shoehorned in. And I think what killed it, and this might just be me, this thing got bloated fast. They took all the time in the world to wait for everything for every reaction. And by the time we're at minute 15, they've said like 10 words. It's like, whoa, this thing didn't really start to change until Fatu and Tama came out. Then it was like, oh, now we have something to do. This should have been half that time. But that's sort of the symptom of a 3-hour show is these promos can go on. They're like, hey, you got 15 minutes. Go do whatever you want. It's like, whoa, that's way too long. Unless you're really going to try to fill it, which we'll talk about a promo later, which they had it, but they let it run a little too long. I don't hate this. There's something almost cordial to the way Jacob Fatu and Cody talked, which was interesting to me. It actually sets up Fatu, in my opinion, to do more later instead of just being Werewolf Enforcer Man, which is interesting. And that's, Papa H knowing that playing the hot hand and long-term storytelling and a lot of the stuff. But the fact that Cody could grab him and say, I'm going to get the last word, and Fatu doesn't just flip out like that was interesting to me and made some of the storytelling we have later. But Solo wearing the bright whites. I mean, I don't know, man. It's a choice. It's a choice.
His whole character this episode of SmackDown for Solo was very out of place and out of pocket. I'm just like, I don't like
That's why we call Solo the weekday.
We might be trying something different. We might see a totally different family, whatever. I don't know. He said he got his head right. He came back. He had to think about it. I don't know, man. I'm a little confused. They're gonna run this bloodline thing back forever. I think this could have been a stronger start. It was hard to keep momentum up after this.
No, which sucks because I think everything after this was pretty decent, which we'll talk about right now. And let's start with one of those things. I only have one real critique, but we do get into our first match of the evening, which is a women's elimination qualifier match.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love Chelsea Green. She is amazing with everything she does, including the still shots. Like, she's just so good. But we do get Naomi and Chelsea Green, competing to be in the women's elimination chamber match. I thought this was a really good match. Naomi does win, so she will be joining Bianca and the rest of the women's field. And I'm like, yes, give me Naomi momentum. There's only one issue that I have, and I'm going to kind of put Chelsea and Lyra in the same thing. I feel like we don't need to put our mid-card women's champions in these qualifying matches. I think we should have them not be in there since they're already champions. But again, I can't say we don't have a lot of women on SmackDown because we do. We have 12 women on SmackDown we can figure out. So I'm just saying.
Did you guys see that on Twitter? Chelsea Green banned wedgies. She made an official.
God, that spot
was so good.
That spot had me dying.
I was going to ask y'all if you caught that. I was like, she's got a wedgie.
Yep,
She
and
just got wank.
Boom.
Yep, and she banned them. She put out a whole tweet saying that the president Chelsea Green bans them. It was funny as hell.
It's I hope she runs this sort of Donald Trump adjacent character forever with her M. Bison hat and everything that she's doing.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic. I thought this match had a little bit of a clunky start. There was about 2-3 minutes in the beginning where they were definitely waiting for each other and trying to figure out who. They got a great stride in the middle. Like they really were communicating in the middle of this, and it was great. There was some, I don't know what it was, if they got heady or whatever, just some hiccups on some things, which I'll say this, sometimes we see with Naomi. Every now and then Naomi, I think, gets in there, goes for it, and then goes, cool. Where are we? Come on. Oh, and then she jumps into the next thing. So I'm just keying on it now because I've seen her doing it full time. But no, this was fun. I agree, though. It does dilute the title a little bit. Of course, Chelsea looked great. That's not what I mean. But the men don't have to do this, really. It comes up rarely. But in the same week, you've just sort of made those mid-card titles kind of meh instead of really making them something special. I think the danger here is with Chelsea Green, this becomes a joke title. This sort of a look at me, I'm the champion title, which I don't even want to say that's a bad thing because we've seen, hell, The Miz did that for a while. Like this sort of like, look at me, I'm the champion, and then making it a commentary on itself sort of thing. I don't hate that either. I just don't want them to get stuck. And like we say here all the time, like don't write yourself into a corner with that. Chelsea's really, really good. Usually that's for lesser wrestlers that find themselves in that position. Chelsea's really good.
Oh, 100%. So Naomi does pick up the victory here. Now that Chelsea is kind of out of the Elimination Chamber picture, I hope now, again, unlike Lyra, who we've been teasing her and Ivy and haven't put legs to it, Chelsea has 3, other competitors. Again, Michin is still around, which I know we've seen them fight twice for the title already, but they always put on fun matches. BFAB, with a little more time, I think would be fun. And now with Zelina Vega being moved to SmackDown, Zelina and Chelsea would be a fun feud too. So I feel like SmackDown and Nick Aldis have done a really good job of putting competitors for this Women's United States Championship, and Raw needs to take a little bit of notes. But again, I don't want to see any champions be competing in these qualifying matches because they're already champions. Let them have their own stories outside of it. But I thought this was great. This was fun. Oh, Sami Zayn. So we get a quick on Twitter promo from Sami Zayn specifying that he did not know if he was going to be cleared in time for Elimination Chamber, but when he is cleared, him and Kevin Owens would go again and would not be fun for Owens. And even though Kevin Owens's fire back wasn't until later in the show, I'm going to group it here because Kevin Owens, the last 2 promos that we've gotten from you from your car, I want to say this. I think Kevin Owens is a great promo person. I think he can bring great promos. I just haven't liked the last 2 that we've gotten from him. I'm like, the motivation is a little weird here.
And they know it's not quite hitting the way they want it to because they're commenting on it, right? He's doing this from his car because he's not allowed in the arena. Like the commentary starting to announce it. So they know that Hook's not quite landing the way they want it to. At first it came off as I'm a serial killer stalker, and now it's turning into she dumped me, I'm gonna go cry in my car. And that doesn't quite sell the same, right? So I think they need to pivot from this. I don't know how they're going to. And of course, I would love to see Sami and Kevin fight forever. I have no problem with that. It just feels like we're waiting for a Randy return, and this is what we're doing in the meantime, which kind of does a disservice to all 3 of them. But it's either that or go back to the bloodline, which we've already done 10 other times. So again, they're kind of written into a corner. I'm just going to say this. The nuclear option, which is probably the best option, bring back El Generico and just go nuts. Have
El Generico, yes.
Have him be the dark arts teacher that's teaching
Chad
Gable the ways of lucha, whatever.
Didn't Karrion Kross say something about that?
Yeah, I think
really
was it Karrion Kross? Somebody's recently just said something about, hey, there's still a mask for you, Sami, or something like that.
Dude,
yeah, that Karrion Kross did.
If that happens, I will lose my mind. The research I did on El Generico was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Anyway, but yeah, they're kind of stuck and they're running the same thing. And I think this is just to get a little bit more on WrestleMania, a little bit more on Canada and Toronto, and well, whatever, fine. I don't hate that. I just wonder, you better do something to rank this up. Like right. Sammy's not cleared and has to fight in a neck brace. I don't want it to be gimmicky, but there's got to be something here that makes me want to care instead of you crying and I don't know. It's not coming off the same. They got to figure out something.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, at least they're making this pile driver legitimately like it reminds me of 2009 Randy Orton had Punk kick.
That is very true as well.
That pile driver, which is probably the safest in the business, is now the most dangerous ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love it. But yeah, Kevin ends his promo in his car stating that regardless if he's cleared or not, Sami needs to show up at Elimination Chamber, which, spoiler alert, he's going to, and we're probably going to get a segment during Elimination Chamber. So we got to fill out the show because as of right now, we have the men's and the women's chamber, and then we have a tag team match, which we'll talk about when we get to that. That is happening at Elimination Chamber. It's going to be interesting. Motor City Machine Guns beat Los Garza, period. Moving on. Like this, I will say this is Legato's first appearance without Elektra Lopez since she is no longer a part of. She got released, which is crazy. I hate when they call up NXT folks, put them on main roster, and then they don't do anything and then get released. Like, what are we doing? Anyways, I digress. I can't really say much. Motor City Machine Guns win. Like, now that they lost the DIY, just keep them on television. I'm still waiting for this fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way, whatever is going to be at Mania between all the SmackDown tag teams, which I think would be ballin'. Just put it somewhere where and give them time, because that was our biggest critiques at Rumble. Anyways,
I think this is what that was sort of a don't forget these guys are here, and then we're moving on to next week.
Yeah, moving on. Listen,
I love you, Jacob.
that was Solo like is looking like the weekday more and more. He's literally wearing all white. He's basically copying the Weeknd's outfit from his most recent album.
Jacob, don't drink the Kool-Aid. It's okay. You don't have to.
Why is he wearing a stepdad sweatshirt? Look at that thing.
I was like, all right, not Christian Cage. All right, Samoan Christian Cage, calm down.
I think
Listen,
the chain is what does it, dude.
The Samoan patriarchy.
Yeah. Yo,
I think it's the funniest thing about the thing that kind of took me out of it was, where are you, Solo? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Like, we're running around, and he was.
I like the difference between you got like Kamatanga. Where's he at? Oh, he's that way. Jacob fought you.
that poor stagehand. Like,
just a friendly misdemeanor assault down the hallway. I don't hate this. It's fine. I'm more curious about where are we going? Are we breaking him up? Or are we not breaking him up? Solo better. I don't know. But I don't hate it. That's the problem. Is I'm not like I don't like it. I'm sort of like, okay, I'll give you time, but make a choice.
Yeah. So
this happened.
Okay. I love The Miz. I love Shinsuke. I love LA Knight. LA saved this for me because this started out rough. Like, Shinsuke comes out to cut a promo where he has been waiting for 4 weeks for someone to challenge him. And that, to me, screams code. That creative does not know what to do for this championship. But Shinsuke continues to says no warriors are here and no one is here to rise against him. Just the same guy looking for the approval of mindless fans. And I'm like, see, I'm here for Sith Lord Shinsuke. But I don't want to say this because this is going to sound really bad. But I like it when they allow Shinsuke to cut his promos in Japanese. Like, there's something more vitriol about speaking in the native tongue. Like, literally, we allowed Asuka to do it. Takeshita and AEW could do it. Miss Liang Li in TNA is able to cut, her promos in Mandarin. Like, for some reason, WWE wants to try, wants their wrestlers to cut promos in English, which is fine. But Shinsuke cutting Japanese anime villain promos and speaking in Japanese adds so much more to his Sith Lord character than what we saw here.
And when he threw Japanese in there the other night, it was great. And the audience followed along just fine. They didn't have to shoehorn this that way. I think what made it awkward was Shinsuke, who's the title holder, had to step out of the ring as two white dudes bark insults at each other and just
colonizers. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. It's sort of like, come on. I think that was kind of unfortunate. That could have been done a little better. I like seeing the Miz and LA Knight go heads up. I had no problem.
That part was cool. I just hate that it was at the expense of Shinsuke having to step out, like you said.
That's what I was gonna say. If it had just been the Miz coming out and going, "How come I never get title shots?" and LA Knight coming out and going, "You know why? It's because you suck," and then Shinsuke coming out and going, "You know what? I'll give you one. Fight right now." Then you could have you could have changed the plot a little bit, and that would have sold just fine. Instead of you interrupt him, then you interrupt him.
Like Oprah Winfrey, you get an interruption.
Exactly. Yeah, and they love doing that trophy thing, which I'm like, why? I don't understand. I don't want to. We have a lot to talk. We have more to talk about. I don't want to dive into this too long. This one could, if you had cut 4 minutes out of this, you would have been gold. I think they sat on their heels a little too long for this one. When I went back and looked at it, this is like a 13-minute promo of just the two of them. And they're making jokes, and the Miz is still the Miz, and it's quite funny, and the stuff's working. I don't know how. I guess the Miz's career now is what, 20 years, 20 plus years,
something like that. He's been in the WWE forever.
So there's a little bit of the rumor of, well, maybe Miz is trying to retire. Well, maybe this is his one last hurrah since we started to see him more the last few years or so. And I know he had some injuries and other stuff that he was dealing with a bit ago. And it's not that he can't go. He obviously can, because the match after this was actually fun. I enjoyed it. I wonder where he's going, because it's like we're not going to push you for a title, but do we do like what we're doing with AJ, or what's the run that we give you? I don't know.
Right. It's been interesting to see the Miz the last 2 years, because remember, Leslie, we forget, not this past War Games, but the previous War Games in 2023. Remember, Gunther and him fought for the Intercontinental Championship. So I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. Anyways, the match itself that we got next between LA Knight and Miz was actually pretty good. LA Knight does pick up the win here, and it seems we are teasing LA and Shinsuke, which I'm all here for. I'm not gonna lie. I think because LA technically has never got a rematch since losing the title at War Games, so that would be nice. This might be WrestleMania plan. Who knows? But again, like I said for Lyra, I just want Shinsuke to have a proper feud, because we do not know what we're doing with him. So, anyways, moving on. Alexa, I have missed you on my screen. Oh shit, we have a special guest. Senior Luchadont is in the building. Sir, what are you doing here?
SmackDown?
Yeah, we use SmackDown on this one.
What the hell? I came back for SmackDown?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's another. Who the fuck is this kilt dude?
Oh.
What have I missed?
You've been in a basement for a while. You were on SmackDown. Kiltman makes more money than you, and Nia Jax is the
Everybody
face.
makes more money. Y'all get paid?
What are they paying you?
I get cheese crackers.
Mikey, double it.
Double the cheese crackers?
He's not even the one that pays me. The other dude does. Minnie.
He just feeds you cheese crackers and leaves you in the basement all day?
Well, I left him in the basement for how many months?
That's been a while.
It's been very true.
You might want to go see your wife and kids, man.
What are those?
Oh, no.
Oh
this took a
no.
turn.
Oh,
You might want to check. You might want to check. I'm pretty sure
on
you
your
got
phone and check your messages.
Yeah,
you got some.
I think-
There's some social workers looking for you.
I
You
think
might
I
want to
went to
look.
might have took him from me.
Oh my goodness.
There's
We
a
have
phrase
our
called
own-
garnishing the wages. You might want to make sure
Oh,
that's
I don't
done
have
right.
any wages to begin with. Like my
Oh.
cheese
No.
crackers.
That's why you don't have any wages now.
So much
Anyways.
child support.
Yeah, oh, actually,
Child
mean-
support is no joke.
no, it's not. Well, anyway, since you're here, Senior Luchador, you can join us for the rest of the SmackDown review.
Oh, fucking
and
Nia Jax are coming at SmackDown, and it's Nia Jax.
well, yes, it's Nia Jax, Candice LeRae. But on the positive side, I love seeing Alexa Bliss back, and she's still rocking with the new updated Lily doll. Which, by the way, very Tim Burton-esque, Beetlejuice-esque. I'm like, I could see this in a Tim Burton movie somewhere. I love that she's still talking about Lily like she's an actual person, which is fantastic. And you know what? Shout out to Nia and Alexa for, not treating wrestling fans like they're idiots and reminding us that, oh yeah, these two were on-screen tag team partners, and Alexa turned on Nia last time she was here. And so, hey, you know what? If we get Nia and Alexa down the line, I'm not going to be upset about it. But yeah, I'm just happy to see Alexa back on my television screen. So, backstage segment, this is fun. Candice is still salty that Alexa beat her for the qualifying match, but Nia has things to do because, well, we'll talk about her in a little bit. Carmelo Hayes beat R-Truth. Like,
Did John
That's
Cena
all I
get
have.
turned black?
Yeah.
little Jimmy grew up.
Or that? No, that's just our truth. Sorry, I get them confused sometimes. They're the same person.
There was a little promo segment before this, another backstage bit between Carmelo and Miz, and I'm like, oh, look, Carmelo don't Miz.
Oh my God.
Because Carmelo just hates him. I'm like, yes.
Perfect dad joke.
I'm
was
going back
perfect.
to the basement. Dude, fuck this.
Oh,
I guess
well,
doesn't like the Miz. Oh,
anyways, so Mello beats R-Truth. Literally, I have nothing else to say. Like,
I love me some R-Truth. I wish he got a little more run. I know he's got to be 60, right? Like he's up there.
like he's in his 50s at this point.
Yeah, he's so up there. Hey, you're back.
I've never seen a luchador walk away so defeated from this before.
He was very upset. We brought up the
He
Miz.
didn't even want his cheese crackers.
Really?
Ouch.
Kiltman's gonna talk him through garnishment of wages because apparently he's got to get some shit in check.
Oh, this conversation is more interesting than the match itself. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
Carmelo
it was
Hayes-
a squash
The
match.
only
and
good
that's
thing
what's
that happened is
sad.
Carmelo Hayes actually won a match.
Right, but I want, like, did Carmelo do something to make main roster mad at him? Like, what is happening? Ever since, we got out of the feud between him and Andrade and LA Knight, like Melo has been kind of just floating.
I don't know.
Well, what do you do with him? Right? Everyone's busy with other things, and you don't know who's
You
moving
could
where.
have at least put him in a qualifier match for the Elimination Chamber, even if he wasn't going to win.
I would have loved that. Sure. Hell, throw him in the elimination chamber. I don't
For
care.
real.
He's great.
Listen, him doing the Mellow Don't Miss from the top of the pod would be nuts.
Yeah.
But I digress.
I think that'll be a broken tailbone.
2 for 2, man. 2 for 2. These promos for the Street Profits, I love. But I'm hoping now we can see them return backstage and fight people with crutches. So,
Yeah.
again, they cut this promo. They said they're going to take down anyone that gets in their way to regain the tag title. So, listen, if this means the Profits run through all the SmackDown tag teams to get back to DIY, and then we build that WrestleMania match, I'm here for single-minded, single-target Profits.
Yeah.
Don't mess this up, SmackDown.
Please don't mess this up. Do it. Like,
Do it.
we should see them every week just wrecking house, which is what they were going to do with Bobby Lashley, and they just kind of didn't. Or they did it once or twice and then never did it again in their suits, right? If
Right.
this is where we're
Yeah,
going,
the Street Profits.
have
The
them
Street
tear
Profits-
everybody to pieces, man. Let's go.
I
Exactly.
like how he wears a nice suit, but still the backwards hat. Love it.
For reals.
Stay consistent.
I'm
You
not
like
gonna lie,
classic-
that's kind of how I wear my suits. By the way, when I have to wear a suit, it's like big suit hat.
I love it. Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. So after this, we get a Pretty Deadly interview. Pretty Deadly were interviewed by DIY, and DIY said that they're going to end Pretty Deadly's careers next week, which is probably not going to happen, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So again, this is where the Kevin Owens car in the promo happened. We already talked about that. So let's get into our next match, which is for the WWE Women's Championship. Nia Jax gets her rematch against Tiffany Stratton. And I thought this match was doing pretty good. And then Candice LeRae caused another DQ. I'm like, that's twice in 1 week's main roster. Like, what are we doing? What is happening?
I hate that it was a DQ. I still put it on my matches of the year 2025 to go look at the end of the year. This was so fun to me. They worked so well together. The back and forth on this was great. They were calling spots. They were trying things. It was really clean. They gave them hell of time. They had all the time in the world, which we don't see for women's matches. They normally hack these things to death. I really enjoyed this. There was one moment. Hang on, let me get the replay. There was one moment. I didn't timestamp it like I should have. Where are you? Where are you? There was a great. Sorry, bad podcasting. Anyone else can talk. Go ahead.
So again, normally it depends if it makes sense in the story. DQ finishes are fine. I just hate that the momentum was going really well for this, and then Candice caused the DQ. I'm like, oh man, like, oh well, it's fine. It is what it is. Because ultimately, what happens after this does set things up. Because afterwards, it seems that Tiffany's about to get attacked with the chair, but who should come to Tiffany's aid but Trish Stratus? jumping in her wedges and running down and getting in there to save Tiffany, only for her to be laid out by Nia Jax, which then causes our producers Kenny Dykstra, Jamie Noble, and a whole bunch of referees to escort Nia and Candice after the match.
So it sounds like we're getting Candice. We're getting Trish and Tiffy versus those two.
Well, yeah, so we'll talk about it. You know what? Let's talk about it now before I get into the last.
That could be cool.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a little bit because that doesn't happen too much later in the show. But after Tiffany is laying in the ring by herself, then we see Charlotte Flair get a chair, sit next to Tiffany, tells her to wake up, and basically says that the Queen chooses Tiffany, and it's going to be Tiffany versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. So I'm glad this is the story that we are going with. Of course, I have seen, now I will say the internet I have seen some division. A lot of people are excited, but a good chunk of people are like, great, so Tiffany's not going to hold this title for long. I really hope they allow Tiffany to beat Charlotte at WrestleMania, because I really think that Tiffany is the future, and I would love to see Charlotte get the title back at some point, but not at the expense of Tiffany's popularity and Tiffany's rise right now. So we'll see. Yes,
I take back this match as the year. I started to write this down, but didn't finish writing it down because of the ending.
Yeah,
so I literally wrote and then stopped because I think that's when Trish came in. So that's what my hook was. All right.
Okay. Kilt. Yeah, thoughts.
I was right. This was going to be the match because I remember I called it. It was going to be between NXT and SmackDown, and we were discussing it last week, and I was like, yeah, we're probably going to go. We'll probably see Tiffany versus Charlotte, and that'll probably be what it is. And lo and behold,
yeah, absolutely right.
So again, right call. I'm hoping that Tiffany goes over at WrestleMania, but we shall see when April comes and whether I will be ecstatic or be sad. Anyways. So, Minnie, you had brought this up backstage. Trish is not one to take a beating lying down. So she asked if Tiffany wants to team up with her to take on Nia and Candice. And so, even though we didn't get an official graphic, it's going to be Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae at Elimination Chamber. So, makes sense. Trish is a Canadian, so put her on the card. Excited. Can't wait. I think this is actually going to be a fun one. So far we have both chambers and this tag match at, Elimination Chamber. So it should be fun. Move over Sherlock Holmes, because it's the feminized Dick Tracys are on the case. So we actually now are putting on-screen developments because Nick Aldis calls Bianca and Naomi into the office and shows footage of Jade's attackers. And we see Raquel and Liv walking away from this. So I was just like, Professor, you missed it. I was like, move over because the feminized Dick Tracys are on the case.
But like the worst detectives ever. This was months ago. They just got this footage.
Did anyone notice that Naomi looked like she worried, be like, oh, damn, I'm like, it's about to come out that I attacked Jade. Like,
see, yeah. That's what I'm wondering. So now they're playing that sort of, they were there. It's obvious it was them thing. I think we're going to get one more.
Or it was like, we were just walking past.
Yeah. I think they're going to they're going to go into the well one more time and do another segment. Actually, from this camera angle, it looks like it was. I think they're going to do this one too many times, and then Naomi cracks, and then we realize it was her.
Here's what I think should happen, because I don't want it to, because there's two ways that we can go about this story, because WWE likes to change things on the fly. I hope they stick with Naomi being the culprit. However, they could also decide to make Liv and Raquel the culprit because, they've been feuding for the tag titles, whatever. What I hope to see is that if it does, and I still think it's Naomi, but if they're going to make it Liv and Raquel, what I am hoping, and this is where I think it happens, I think if it ends up being Liv and Raquel, they take the titles from Naomi and Bianca. Jade returns to confront her attackers. Have Naomi and Jade face Raquel and Liv for the titles at Mania, which then allows who I think is going to win the women's chamber, Bianca, to go on to face Rhea. So Black Girl Magic is still doing their thing, and we're not breaking up this unit. I still want it to be Naomi because then it's interesting. We've never really seen Naomi be a true heel. And also, if the rumors are true, have Naomi have backup in Lash Legend and Jakar Jackson with the Meta Girls being her backup.
Or plot twist, it was Bianca.
That could also be the case too. Bianca has been feigning this whole time, and she's the one that attacked Jade. But then again, it makes her story with Rhea Ripley a little muddy if she wins the chamber. Like, it's crazy.
Or Jade just did it to herself. She just stood there on the edge.
She
and went,
did it. She did it for The Rock.
Oh my god!
The Rock walked up and said, "You better do this," and she went, "Okay," and then jumped on the car for The Rock.
Car.
Wow, take one for the team.
Yeah, but listen, I love feminized Dick Tracy's, but again, I feel like we should have did this like months ago. But at least we're getting somewhere. They're just like, okay, I think Jade is ready to come back, so let's start getting the story moving. But yeah, I'm gonna put that's our next t-shirt idea. Just get a picture of Naomi and Bianca in the Dick Tracy yellow trench coat and call them and just on it feminized Dick Tracy's.
Give them like Sherlock Holmes pipes and stuff.
Exactly. I'm gonna work on that later today.
I'm gonna get on that.
We're gonna capitalize on all this. So this has been, our hour of power. So let's move on into our preview of next week. We get the tag team championships between DIY and the Yes Boys, Pretty Deadly. And we're also getting Jimmy Uso and Drew McIntyre. I'm like, okay. Poor Jimmy. I don't think you're winning this one either. I was like, man, we got to do something with you, Jimmy. I love you. But anyways, I digress. Main event time. This is a lot of meat in the ring, everybody. Holy crap. Holy crap. This was actually a really great main event. I really liked this. So, but the ending, of course, was convoluted like a telenovela because Solo Sikoa accidentally Samoa spikes the Tama Tonga, which distracts, Jacob Fatu enough for Damian Priest to capitalize and pin Braun Strowman for the win. So hits the south. Watching Damian Priest hit a South of Heaven on Braun Strowman was work of art for me. I'm like, oh my God. That was beautiful. So Damian Priest is moving on to the Elimination Chamber. Him and Cody have a stare down before they stare at the WrestleMania sign as SmackDown goes off the air. Boys, is there any thoughts about our main event and all the shenanigans that went down?
I like it. I don't think it will be my match of the year, but I'm going to keep it on the list because I'd like to go back and rewatch this, so I'm reminded of it. All three of them worked really well together. It's a lot of coordinating and a lot of stuff that they had to do there. I love the throwback to the chair, throwing him in the chair and then doing all those dirty things and crazy stuff like that. I like Braun Strowman. I don't think I was watching when he came in and at his crux. Has he always kind of been stuck in this? He's never been a champion, right? And I know he had what he had with Ricochet and other things, but is there a reason he doesn't get the play that he does, or has it just been a while?
Okay, so to kind of blow your mind, because people forgot this, Braun technically is a former WWE Universal Champion. This was during the COVID era, but so Braun had the title. He lost it to a returning Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Right.
And then at SummerSlam during the COVID era, we had Braun and Bray Wyatt, who was in the Fiend character, fight it out. But it ended up becoming a triple threat because this is where we got a post-leukemia, and it's safe enough for him to come in because the pandemic wasn't in its like at the peak phase, Roman Reigns. So this is where Roman Reigns returned as the tribal chief for the first time.
Right.
Beat Braun and Bray for the title, and that's when Roman held that title for 4 years after that.
I see. Okay.
The genesis of the tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
So there's part of me is like, I would love to see him get more run. I don't know how old he is, but I like watching a 6'8" dude wreck house. It's kind of a blast. I thought this was fun. I enjoyed all of this. It's a shame that the rest of it was all so clunky to get to here, but
Yeah. But that is how SmackDown goes off the air, with Damian and Cody staring at each other and staring at the WrestleMania sign. So that takes care of, Dual Dynasty for this week. We made it through the week in WWE. Overall, I have some questions, but we have 2 weeks to go before Elimination Chamber. So this is going to be a fun 2 weeks. So before we do our sign-offs and all that good stuff, to kind of give you a preview of this week, again, we have things are slowing down as a normal week for us here at BC WrestlePod. This Tuesday, you can see the Professor and I, and hopefully a returning JVL, going to talk to him. The trifecta of AEW folks will be back together to discuss this past week's Dynamite and Grand Slam Australia.
I didn't watch Dynamite, but I did watch that Grand Slam. Holy crap.
So come by Tuesday to watch all that goodness. Then on Wednesday, it's a double dose of our, melanated review squads, because it is the most melanin you're going to get. Because we begin with our NXT crew really quickly. Hey, Nick, friend to the channel. By the way, stay tuned, because me and Nick are working on stuff for WrestleMania Hell Week, so it's going to be crazy. So stay tuned for more information when we get that all finalized. But your major melanated review squads on Wednesday, we first start out with the NXT crew, where myself, Luis and Will be doing double duty. We will be reviewing NXT's Vengeance Day, as well as the NXT show from that Tuesday. So double dose of NXT, and then come back on later where myself, Adolfo and Will be covering the action of CMLL. Then we close out the week on Friday with myself and Will for TNA, as we are inching ever so closely to sacrifice the next pay-per-view for, TNA. And then Sunday, you'll be back with WWE, as well as the second episode of the BC WrestlePod, where we are going to talk, the intersection of promo skills and in-ring work. So we're going to do our little charts and then present them to everybody like a class. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for that. But from myself, the Dual Dynasty crew, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later. But until then, sayonara, adios, take care of yourself, and Minnie, remind the folks why we do what we do here at BC WrestlePod.
For the first time in a long time. Because we wanted to.
Thank you, Minnie. I missed it so much. Catch you later, y'all. See you soon.